Lack of implementation has been one of the major failings in strategic planning. Our company has visited numerous organizations whose strategic plans gather dust rather than results. Unit 11: The need for action. There are many reasons for this situation, but a major one lies in the design of the plan itself. As a document, a strategic plan has to have certain components if it is to be capable of implementation. And most plans lack this. How, for instance, can vague statements concerning mission, vision, and values be implemented unless these are translated into specifics? Unfortunately, many strategic plans are populated by platitudes and fail to connect with actual programs and projects. So, for many organizations, it is in lack of motivation on the part of managers and staff, or faulty organizational systems that hold back implementation. It's the plan design. What it means for individual action simply isn't clear. In fact, in some strategic plans, the action component is missing entirely. The purpose of this unit is to discuss 7 common mistakes in strategic planning and provide remedies for them. The chapter also pulls together many of the book and course themes with special attention to the importance of action planning. So, please welcome to Unit 11. This is Victor Marromo, Strategic Planning and Performance Management Coach. Mistake 1: failure to spell out competitive advantage. It is through strategic planning that we seek to find avenues whereby we can win and be successful. This implies having a competitive advantage over our competitors to such an extent that customers and other key stakeholders choose our organization in preference to others. Failure to spell out competitive advantage nullifies strategic planning intent. Remedy: managers need to be instructed on the concept of competitive advantage. Doing something better than someone else in the eyes of a key stakeholder. For example, an organization may have a competitive advantage in customer service because it delivers more promptly and more reliable than a competitor. Two things are important here and were discussed extensively in Units 6, 7, 8, and 9. First, the competitive advantage is defined by the key stakeholder. If, for example, the latter were not interested in such an improvement in customer service, it would not be a competitive advantage. The other thing that is important is not to mistake internal capabilities for competitive advantage. An organization may have a better information system and a more advanced computer than one of its competitors, but this is not in itself a competitive advantage. Customers do not buy an organization's better computer or better information systems. They buy what such systems produce: a more advanced computer and a better information system or apps may provide a potential for a competitive advantage. But unless this is translated into something an external stakeholder values, there is no advantage. So again, managers need to be instructed on the concept of competitive advantage. Mistake 2. Basing plans on superficial analysis. Strategic planning must avoid shooting from the hip. At the other extreme, however, it must avoid paralysis by analysis. What is needed here is a balance between the two extremes. The analysis needs to be at a level that is appropriate for a strategic understanding of an organization's future. It should be not overwhelmed by historical accounting data. It should analyze the present players as well as the trends and challenges and changes occurring in an industry. Lack of such analysis can only lead to crass decision making. So the remedy: our company invites organizations to undertake both industry analysis and performance analysis. Under the first, we look at industry changes and trends, how value is built up in the industry, the value chain, how the industry is segmented, and how attractive these segments are. Such analysis is far from superficial, and while it forces managers to think deeply about their industry, it avoids making analysis at end in itself. Next comes performance analysis, the subject of Unit 4. This is not accounting or financial performance. This is strategic performance based on how an organization has performed in comparison to its industry competitors. It involves assessing organizational performance on the strategic factors pertinent to the industry. Factors such as product quality, customer service, and price. It is quite remarkable how planning teams discover through this analysis that they have blind spots concerning the industry, major differences of opinion about it, and the real lack of sufficient information to make appropriate strategic decisions. So again, remember that performance analysis is not accounting or financial performance. This is a common mistake. Mistake 3. Plans become wishlists rather than action-oriented documents. Many strategic plans remain as pious hopes that something will change. They become in effect just simple wish lists. They are snuffed out at the point of writing down mission, vision, goals, and other non-specific, non-quantified, and non-action oriented statements. Nothing really changes in the organization by this planning and strategic way of doing things. The fault here lies in not understanding what a strategic plan is supposed to do, change the decision making, and make the organization successful. So we have the remedy. Like a coach or like a strategy doctor, have the planning team examine the key stakeholders that impact on performance and gain a grasp of the nature of the transactions that occur between these key stakeholders and the organization. The emphasizing of one or a few of the factors that lie within these transactions for each key stakeholder gives the organization a competitive advantage. Such strategy factors may be concerned with, for example, product quality, customer service, or product range. Another part of the method to avoid wish lists involves the addition of a simple device, an action plan. An action plan states what is to be done, who is to do it, and when it is to be completed. Who, what, and when. It is the tool that triggers implementation of strategy. When a team goes to this extent in its strategic planning, they start to drive the decisions that people take. An action plan is the tool that triggers the implementation of strategy. Put that in mind. The position of an action plan is clearly illustrated in the strategy development funnel. Back in figure stated above. This figure shows that action planning follows the development of strategy and deals with its implementation, but it must be integral to the strategic plan itself. An action plan is a simple but important component of any successful strategic plan. It's a part of the exercise that goes most smoothly. Members of planning teams find the concrete and specific nature of action planning a relief, following on the heels of the rather nebulous and future-looking work involved in developing strategy. So don't hesitate to go that extra step and develop an action plan. You'll reap considerable rewards. Illustrated in figure 11.2 is an action plan for the strategy. Improve customer service by making service more personal and better focused. It's a prime example. This strategy aims to give competitive advantage on the strategic factors of customer service. Were this organization to walk away from its strategic planning exercise with statements of strategy but no action, you will know the consequences. Little would be done, and after several months, those involved in the exercise would be disappointed. Figure 11.2 Action Plan for Strategy. A statement of strategy has been translated into specific actions for designated individuals to complete by certain dates. This could be posted in a simple intranet, SharePoint, or maybe a Power App. Supplied is a sample of only 4 such actions, but this organization, which is an importer of gift products, had actually identified many more. Various members of the company become involved. In the responsibility column, you see Customer Service Manager, National Sales Manager, Human Resources Manager, and Credit Manager. They are going all in this action plan for strategy. Note also in the action column how the strategy has been broken down into component actions. For example, nominated persons are to deal with certain accounts. The gift importer's customers were retail stores, not individuals. In the second action, the customer service is to be improved by running product information for customers. For example, the retail stores. In the third action, a series of workshops is to be conducted for internal staff to address problems in accounts and returns. And in fourth actions, systems in accounts and returns are to be improved, and problems the stores are having are to be eliminated. As a result of these good actions in the action plan, further actions will most likely be required. It isn't as though 14 June 20X all action to improve customer service will cease. Let me urge you again, please try to write a good plan, a good action plan, and make it an integral part of your strategic plan. It will ensure that your organization strategy is implemented. It isn't that hard, and it is very essential. Mistake 5. Plans take the form of budgets, with some window dressing. Lip service is often paid to strategic planning. Management says it should have it. However, what it is often produced is the same old budget, with a few pages added at the front and retitled a strategic plan. The window dressing is the few pages attached to the traditional budget, as no thorough strategic analysis has been undertaken. And I see this all the time in job descriptions about strategic positions. The description always say checking the budget, and it doesn't say anything about strategic analysis. This harsh situation occurs because many managers do not appreciate the importance of a strategic plan to an organization. They simply ignore the strategic management. They will comply externally with what senior managers say should be done, going along with the drawing up of a strategic plan. But their heart is not in the job. Many of them think it is a waste of time, only reading words. What they prefer to concentrate in is on the hard data in the budget, as I was saying. The financial analysis and accounting analysis in the budget. Keep going this way of thinking and strategic planning becomes such a farce. But here is the remedy. The way to prevent window dressing is to put aside financial considerations in the early stages of the plan. Managers need to be able to kick back their chairs and do some crystal ball gazing before attempting to put the budget numbers to their considerations. They need to ask, where is the industry heading? What are the competitors up to? How are the taste and preference of customers changing? These questions must be asked before any attempt is made to quantify strategy in dollar terms. On the other hand, it is extremely important that strategies are eventually quantified and their impact on the organization considered and measured. This was the focus on units 5 and 10. So, let's recapitulate. Please, just put aside financial considerations in the early stages of the planning process. Mistake 6. Planning becomes a form-filling exercise. In large organizations, there is often an attempt to ensure that uniformity exists between the various business units, whose task it is to complete a strategic plan. This uniformity can lead to what amounts to a form-filling exercise, because standardization is pushed to an extreme. Managers go through the motions with a centrally designed form. The problem with this approach is that it drives out initiative and fresh original strategic thinking. While some guidelines are required, once strategic planning becomes purely a routine and it has lost its significance. Let's go for the remedy. Managers in large organizations should receive guidance on how to prepare a strategic plan for their business units. A format should be suggested. Table of contents, a description of what each part of the document projects, and an appropriate length. If an organization goes much further beyond these guidelines, it runs the risk of designing a straitjacket for its managers. In the near past, some organizations have so formalized strategic planning that all managers needed to do was fill in the blank spaces and refer to budget, like we were saying in mistake 5. Tick the appropriate boxes, list the alternatives that were rejected, and then move on. What is evident in this instance is that little thought was given to the planning process and few people were involved. The bottom line is that appropriate guidelines need to be set, but a manager's freedom to be innovative must not be curtailed. Mistake 7. Plans become unfocused to-do lists. Very often, people who are called together to develop strategic plans are impatient to get the job done. At 9 o'clock in the morning, on the first day of the planning exercise, they cannot wait to get down to what needs to be done. The result is a wonderful strategic plan that is full of action, but lacks coherent thought and direction. The coherent thought and direction that are taught throughout all the course. There are many things to do, but there is no focus on what this action adds up to. The unfocused to-do lists lies at the opposite extreme to the wish list. So let's talk about the remedy. The way to avoid this fault is to hold people back from writing down, as soon as they meet, all the things they want to have changed. They need to find and they need to have a path. Instead, have them reflect on their industry and any assumptions that might be making about the future, slowing the team down by having them analyze their situation, their business unit, to write scenarios of what their industry might be like in 3 to 5 years, and similar techniques provided in Unit 4. Gives this planning team a breathing space before plunging into the actions necessary to make the organization competitive. 8. Action is key. This unit has been concerned with strategic plan, mistakes, and their remedies. They're well worth addressing, since if you don't, your chances of success are slim. In our coaching work, we see most all of these mistakes. We see organizations whose managers don't understand what competitive advantage is. We see organizations developing strategy without the appropriate analysis. We see strategic plans which are merely wish lists and lack an action component or ones that are operational plans retitled. We see organizations calling just budgets with a cover sheet strategic plans, or their marketing plans like strategic plans. We see still other organizations standardizing plans to the point that they are just form-filling exercises. At the other extreme, we see plans that are full of actions, but lack coherent purpose and strategic purpose. To avoid those faults, follow the remedies summarized in figure 11.1, pointed here once again. Why not use the list of faults as a checklist? How many of the 7 faults do you have in your strategic planning and in your strategic plan? How many of the 15 remedies should you be implementing? And there's that word again, implementation. It's been particularly stressed in this unit as it's often overlooked in strategic plan. Remember, strategy without action is just death. So, manager, we have reached the end of Unit 11. What do you think of these mistakes? Have you made them in your strategic planning and in your strategic plans? How can you stop doing them? Please write your questions. Please send me your doubts. I will be very glad to assist you as your coach. Thank you for listening, and this was Victor Marron, your strategic planning and performance management coach. Thank you, and see you soon.